Welcome, everybody. Another Wednesday, another episode of Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. With me to do this episode, as always, is Roy. Welcome, Roy.
Happy to be here, Mo, with my
Yeah,
hiccups.
man. Glad you can make another Wednesday. Glad we could be here for another Wednesday of the show.
Absolutely.
So, I feel like we should just get into it because I think this episode didn't waste its time or didn't waste anybody's time. We really got into the shits early. So general thoughts on this episode, because I think we haven't been kind to this series. Thoughts on this
I think
episode?
overall we haven't, Mo. You're absolutely right. I like this episode the most of any of them.
Mhm.
Certainly the best one since the pilot. I
Right.
think it was pretty consistently good since from one. I truly do not know why they did not open with a. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. With the kind of emotional notes that
Boom.
this.
Didn't work.
No, man, we'll see. We'll see. Oh my god, this is embarrassing. But anyway, why they didn't open this show with those emotional notes?
Right.
Poor face CG Hayden Christensen trying to be like his
Young
20-year-old self.
Okay, right.
Was like
saw it.
a lot, but it was also good. Like that scene that, and just I think overall, I think this episode suffered from a few of the problems that the series has suffered from in general. But overall, this was a really strong episode that answered a lot of the complaints that we laid out, I think, towards the end of our discussion last week.
Right. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I thought the episode opened really well, and I thought the message the episode was trying to put through, was fantastic. Using that scene with Obi-Wan and Anakin to kind of lay that message all the way through was kind of great. I think. Okay, so we've been asking questions about what's going to happen with Moses, the third sister, who's now the quote unquote fake Grand Inquisitor. What's going to happen with her? How is she going to play into the whole thing? Because she does have like the way her purpose or whatever she's been really like. They've been featuring her, so you need to know how they're gonna end with the character and play her character all the way through. And I think what happened with the character, I honestly liked it because I feel like I got answers as to what's going on, because my whole thing has been what's going on in this series, like what's really happening. I think we kind of surmised that she was one of the kids because they did open the first episode open show. So we kind of guessed that, but okay, how did you get here? What happened? Or why are you here? We got that.
Yeah.
I was really scared that we're never gonna get that answer, or they're gonna rush that in episode 6, and it's gonna be like, oh my god, we're just gonna throw this in here because we forgot to tell you why she's here and her purpose. But I like that. I like the siege, the scene, with the siege. But I'm watching that whole scene like, can Star Wars for 1 second, right? Just 1 second, not do the thing where the stormtroopers don't hit anybody. Like,
well, they hit at least some people.
Three.
Including the most important supporting character in the show. So,
but they hit 3 people in total. I counted. I made sure I counted every time somebody got hit. I went back and I watched it again, and it was 3 people got hit, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. But you know what? I'm not even mad. It's the like Star Wars is gonna Star Wars, right? If they're gonna do,
I mean, stormtroopers suck,
right? Right. I'm like, it's a whole army of stormtroopers versus like 70 people or 30 people max, and only 3 people went down. And out of the 3 people that went down, only 1 died. But you lost countless troopers. Okay, whatever.
But they're Imperial scum. That's cool with me.
So that outside of that, that's a nitpick. So it doesn't really matter. Outside of that, everything about this episode was fine. And you're right. Why didn't they do something like this, say in like episode 2? Because they did have some sort of, I wouldn't even say they had an emotional pull or tether in episode 1. It just happened, if that makes sense. Why didn't you have something this, like to keep us not entertained, but to keep us in the series? Because there was a point don't know about you, but if we weren't doing this show, I don't think I'd have watched past episode 3.
I mean, as I think I've said before, I would have just kept watching because I'm a mark. But I like my enthusiasm was very dimmed by the third episode.
Right. Because yeah,
And
it was. I think the third episode really did it. Like it was like, why am I still here? But we're doing the show. To be honest, the only reason I kept watching is we're doing the show. If we did a Boba Fett show, I think I'd be done with that show by now. As many times as we do the show and I say I'm gonna watch it, I still haven't like
you haven't watched it yet?
no, but I'm going to. I'm going to. I promise. I
Sure.
promise. But no. This episode is UA since the premiere. I thought episode 2 was the better of the two. This is the better. This is the this is the third best episode, or even the second best episode to me, outside of episode 2. So yes,
I think this is just the straight up best episode. Like it has really good acting from Ewan McGregor and
Yes.
Moses, and I think also the Darth Vader voice technology. Maybe I've just gotten used to it after 4 episodes,
Possibly.
or maybe they've perfected it. But I felt like the voice acting was much better. For Darth Vader, I felt the physical performances of the actors in the Vader suit were the best so far. Like I think they did a better job. God darn it, emoting in this episode, like particularly that like scene where he, I thought that like where he captures the one ship and like crushes it, and the
Right.
other one escapes. I thought the like Vader's frustration was like carried by the actor in that
Yes.
suit
Yes.
in a way that hadn't been in the previous episodes.
But what I would say though is, while I did like that part of Vader, I still think his fighting in this suit is annoying to watch. I don't know if there's something about the suit doesn't fit right. It just seems really clunky, and I'm not really enjoying seeing him fight in this suit.
You didn't like the fight with their sister?
I liked the fight, but I couldn't stop. Something just felt off with him per se. I liked the fight. The fight choreo was nice, but it just seemed like every one of his moves felt really heavy and clunky, almost like a Mandalorian in Beskar. But I'm like, this is not that, right? So he should move a little more smooth, and or maybe because this is like first generation Vader suit. So
I mean, they could come up with a million excuses, but I mean, most Vader fight scenes aren't like super elegant like Anakin in the prequels, right?
right,
He's more like
right.
whack, 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 right? Because
Very stiff,
right?
yeah,
And like overpowering you,
yeah.
thing.
Well, I guess that's what it is. I may have to go back and watch. Like I haven't really seen any with outside of. But okay. So that since
Rogue One, he's
that,
like that.
that's what. No, I thought
Rogue One, he's not very like spinny or
no,
anything.
but I
He's
thought
like,
Rogue One felt smoother. Like yes, he's charging at you, but it's just smoother, right? It just felt like he was. It didn't. Yes, he's charging, but it still felt glidey, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, this definitely felt a little bit more closer to like Empire Strikes Back Vader.
Yes.
Than like I guess than maybe like you would think with the way the budgets have
CG?
improved. No, Empire Strikes Back is all practical effects.
No, I'm saying Rogue One. Was Rogue One CG?
I have no idea. I haven't seen maybe I should, but before Andor, I'll go back and watch Rogue One.
Right. I think I'm gonna look at that again, because if it could be, that's why it looked smoother, because CG.
Good,
yeah. But no,
but it's also a movie, right? Like, and as we said many times, like the budget just really is obvious. But in this episode, it also felt that, but it also felt like they were really pushing their budget. Like I felt
they did with the ship. Like we're gonna
ship, and then the fight. Like the fight was we asked for this at the end of last episode, right? And they gave it to us.
Yeah, they gave us two
saber
fights. Yeah,
like 2 secret saber fights. One like more emotional one, and one like I thought it was like a cool use of Vader in that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I actually thought the third sister fight was very emotional.
It was.
Again, it just very different types of emotions.
Right, different types of emotion.
There's the friendly kind of sad emotion with Anakin, and then it's the anger and rage. Excuse me. Wow, did you just it's the anger.
I just got over the hiccups and I just sent them to you by the transitive property.
Yeah, there's the anger and the rage with third sister, and I think that's what I really liked about that fight. Is you can, again, maybe my TV, I need to change my settings, but it was really dark, and the sabers, the saber lighting of that fight was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you could tell through her movement, and you just tell like there was something, the music, the movement,
Oh,
everything
her acting was really
is
strong in
just
that whole
fantastic.
sequence.
So yeah.
Uh,
So I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Um, but yeah, like I feel like this is the best we've talked about the show.
I think it's inarguably the best episode. Like, I
Right.
think for me, I like the pilot because I think the pilot did a good job of grounding you in Obi-Wan's emotional state and had
Hmm.
a really strong performance from Ewan McGregor. And I've liked different elements of the previous episodes.
Right.
But this one, like, as a whole episode, I mostly enjoyed it. Like, they never really like lost me
Hmm.
in this
Hmm.
episode. Like, they kind of kept my attention. I was like, oh, what's the next thing? And all the emotional beats. I didn't super like how what's her name?
Leia.
Uh, no, not Leia.
Tara.
Tara,
Yeah.
Talia, Tala, whatever her name
Tala.
is.
Yes.
The Sand Snake lady from
It's
Game of
one of those,
Thrones.
right? It's
Uh, died. Like, I thought that was a little like
on the nose.
on the nose. It was like a little like she gets this like I'm gonna kill 16 people because it's just
Because
like
I watched
okay.
16 people
I was like
die.
this
No, but
lady's gonna die. Like
right as soon as she gave that speech, I'm like, yeah, you're gone. Well, you've
uh,
been nice, but you're dead.
yeah,
Like,
it's been
right,
good. We can't. Well, look, Obi-Wan doesn't have any supporting characters on Tatooine, so you ain't going with him.
right.
So only place to go is in the grave. So that was like a little forced, particularly with the droid. Like I was like, okay, that's a little forced, but it was fine. Like it kept
Hmm.
the emotional beats going. And this episode, while it did shortcut some things, like Leia's robot bad, now Leia's robot good. Like it's like that like clunkiness is still there, but it's like not in your face the
Hmm.
way it
Hmm.
was in the previous episodes. So it's just really good to get along with like what has been strong about the show, which is the emotional beats.
Right,
And
right,
this lets you really focus on it with a cool lightsaber fight at the end that had like some fucked up stuff in that,
right.
like with Hayden like killing kids. It's like whoa,
Like
okay,
they really okay. So in episode 3, it was like a quick scene, right? They really went in this episode, like all the way in, just to emphasize because they showed it like 3 times. I'm like, okay, this is a little unnecessary. Like they showed it when I think when we meet third sister and Obi out, when they're both out there, and then I think when he's captured and they're talking, and finally when she's on her knees and Vader's like this, it stabs her,
stabs
and
her.
then
Yeah,
the Grand Inquisitor is like, I'm like, and we had said.
he's continuity problem fixed, baby. That's
Now he can come back and live in
in Rebels.
what's in the game, right? And Rebels and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. But yeah, um what did you think? Okay, so what did you think when Vader said to third sister he was wise to use you?
Because she would distract him, I think was, and her anger was like was like palpable. There was a strong enough distraction to get him to like not capture Obi-Wan. I think
Mm.
that like he understood her anger and you know was that's how I took it at least.
I thought right here. So here's my takeaway from that was, um, he played her. That's the way I heard it. Right. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
he played her.
he was wise to use you. Oh, he was wise to like use your anger against you, like play you, because he figured. Because I feel like with the first conversation, he thought he could turn her, right? Because we had said he might try to turn her by the end, and that's how she dies, right?
I mean, they're gonna go fight on Tatooine next episode.
Oh
So
yeah, it's good.
something.
But that's the thing, though. Who fights? Because again, we've said, with continuity. See now, because if Vader goes to he's not going to Tatooine, right? He hates
Vader's
him.
not going to Tatooine. Like
Right. Okay.
he's just not going to Tatooine.
So
Like
she's going
if
to
they
Tatooine.
break that, she's going to Tatooine 100%.
Okay. And so she dies.
Or gets defeated and is like, I'm actually good. I'm going to go off and do Jedi stuff. I don't know. We'll see next episode. There's like a lot of different things they could do. The question is they literally are redoing the plot of Last Jedi. And right where they're like trying to escape the Empire, but they don't have a hyperdrive.
Right.
So I think they actually did it again, which is that they set themselves up with too much stuff to resolve in one episode, right?
Yep.
Because Vader's chasing Obi-Wan and Leia, but then third sister's going to Tatooine. Bail is going to Tatooine. So you need to resolve to some kind of satisfaction the Obi-Wan Vader conflict and resolve Obi-Wan third sister conflict in 45 minutes.
Right. Also Bail.
And also Bail needs to be reunited with Leia, right? That's going to happen.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. I think
that's Leia goes to Tatooine? Like, I don't.
There's a lot that's going to happen in this sand planet. Again. So that's the thing, right? Is Vader can't go to Tatooine. Like, he can't step foot on Tatooine, right? He just can't, because continuity and everything that we know about,
like, otherwise it's the single worst place to hide Luke, right? Like,
yes, immediately becomes the worst place to hide Luke. So do they stop somewhere for a second?
I don't know. Quinlan Vos shows up out of nowhere and is like, I'm here to save the day. Go off, Obi-Wan. Do what you want to do. I don't know. I think they, again, have put themselves in a situation that's going to be really difficult to stick the landing. Like, they finally built up momentum.
Right.
And then it's just like...
It just happened to be the second to last episode.
So it's like, oh, okay. Well, it's like, oh, wow. They really engaged me, did some cool stuff with all the characters. Excuse me. Made Vader look like evil. And
yeah, 100%. I think when he stopped the ship, even though I don't know what I was thinking in the moment, but I'm like, this can't be it, right? This can't, like, I questioned myself for a second. I was like, that was too easy. Like, this can't be it. And then boom, they're gone. Like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I was like, is Obi gonna come out and like start fighting him to like?
That's what I was. I'm like, yo, are they gonna have like, is this single combat right here? And then somehow him and third sister fight. He gets hurt. He dips. Like, I'm like, what's gonna happen? And they fooled him. They pulled that slick move on him and fooled him. But yeah, that moment was, I think, you know what? That's the single scariest Vader moment for the show.
Easily. Well, when he's just like randomly strangling people, that was also really good.
It was just that was kind of terrifying. But like, I think we have our heroes here, and then like, no, he was killing bystanders, like people who had nothing to do with anything.
He's just like, all right, Obi-Wan, you gonna rescue these people? Nope. Okay, you gonna rescue these people? Nope. Okay, I'm just gonna genocide this town for a while,
right?
Until you come out,
kill the guy, kill his son.
Yeah,
that was cold.
That was cool. I mean, there's a lot of like just straight up cold Anakin in this.
No, there is.
I mean, the scene like where he is standing, he stabs her, and then it cuts to Hayden stabbing her friends is legitimately messed up. Like,
that's why I said they didn't need, like, they stressed that. Like, the entire show, this show stressed that moment of where she gets her anger and her rage, and how it channels her into becoming like a Sith-y person,
whatever she is.
Because they are Inquisitors Sith.
They're not Sith, because there can only be 2 Sith in the current continuity.
Right.
So they're like, I don't know, add-ons. So I don't know.
Disciples,
yeah.
Something. So she's on. Well, they're dark side adjacent, right?
They're on the dark side. Yeah.
So like, we see that, but they had to stress it by showing that scene happen the first time. They didn't show her getting cut down. Then he cut down her friends, and I think he stabs her.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and then stabs her in real time. So it's like, wow, like, yeah, this is crazy. Like, they stressed that, and I was like, okay, the show's kind of mean. But what did you think of the fight, Hayden?
I really enjoyed it. But hey, wait, Hayden and Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yes.
I thought it was good. I think it was a really good emotion. I mean, the only thing was it was really showing the weakness of Disney's de-aging like technology, but it was like well acted by both actors, and I think
they did it for how many years together? It's probably like ingrained in them now, don't you think? But I think
that should have been in the first episode though.
Okay, where would you put it in the first episode?
Just like it could be Obi-Wan dreaming about it or Vader dreaming about it. Like because you just like it just grounds you in the prequels of who these two people are and who.
I mean, correct. You're right. Because when it did start, it started with that scene, them coming together to fight, and then cutting to Vader breathing.
Yeah.
So you could literally start that in episode 1.
Yeah.
But
or Obi-Wan like kind of waking up and being sad that his brother son is the worst person in the world. So in the galaxy, I guess, in Star Wars.
Right. Brainwashed brother son, because his actual brother son is not the worst person in the world.
Sure.
Right.
All I know is he doesn't like sand. That's the main thing.
Right. I thought that's the best. So I'm watching it. I'm watching it happen across the episode because it's split throughout the episode. Yeah. And I'm like, this is the best saber fight we've seen since episode 3. Because what is it? Episodes 7, 8, and 9 didn't really have.
I mean, I still
okay, 8, yeah, the Last Jedi.
Oh, right. Last Jedi has a good.
Since Last Jedi, yeah. So
the Last Jedi has the best of the sequels.
You didn't need to.
That is exactly right, Patrick.
No,
they literally Hayden Christensen leaned into it. It's.
Oh yeah, he did, and I think you know what, I wasn't. I just think they just went super into it, and I'm like, in a way, I was kind of like shook. But I think the show is a little mature. It's not. This is. I think ever since they went into like Force Awakens, Star Wars has become a little more mature.
It's the one that they made PG-13 was Revenge of the Sith was the first PG-13 one.
Listen, that's not that mature.
No, Mo.
Come on.
I don't know. Man, Patrick just blew up your spot, by the way.
He did.
The Tennessee. Ooh, that is, the childhood O's fan in me felt the disturbance in the Force about that shit, Patrick.
So right quick, Tila, she dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "May the Force be with you." So this is just something everyone says.
Well, yes, it is something that everybody says, right? Like, one of the things Star Wars like kind of has is like there are people who like they keep going to this like that there are non-Jedis who admire the Jedi philosophy, and they never like go anywhere with it. It's just kind of like a thing that they sometimes draw on whenever they need like non-Jedis to care about the Jedi, like the path, right, which is run by normal people. It's like it's the Underground Railroad for Jedis. And
the blind guy in Rogue One.
Yeah, right. It's like, sure.
Patrick, real quick, what's your favorite part of this episode? Let's see what Patrick said.
Patrick says.
What was your favorite part of this episode?
My favorite part was the fight between Third Sister and Darth Vader. I thought it was really cool. It
really was. And what I think was crazy about the fight is the fact that he.
Yeah, another droid dead. Yeah. Damn, Patrick. Damn.
They don't care about droids in the Star Wars universe. No, I think what makes that fight really great is, again, her emotions and her acting. But I think just they're not even being stressed. He's like, okay, you're a child. Like,
yeah, he's like, I always knew. I've just been fucking with you the whole time.
And honestly, he was really cold. That was cold. And when he says that, you think, You think you had me fooled, didn't you?
And then I just thought that whole sequence is very well executed.
Yes, and Grand Inquisitor coming back was just like,
He's like,
so now like I want to go on Twitter or go like into Reddit, and because people were crying that he dies. Like I want to go into
well, we talked about it in the second episode where it's like
right.
it is a giant continuity hole.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah, I agree, Patrick. That's a really good sequence. But yeah, I mean,
this isn't Anakin, okay, Patrick. Let's. This is a
Darth Vader.
Anakin is dead.
That man, an old man once told me that
Anakin is dead
until he isn't. Somehow he miraculously is resurrected in the
Rise of Skywalker
movie. No, in Return of the Jedi. Right?
Oh yeah, Return of the Jedi. Yeah,
because he comes back and saves his son, right? So
he does. So,
I don't know.
Force Ghost.
You like Obi-Wan's propaganda really got to you here.
No, I am really like Anakin's like
Obi-Wan. Yeah. Obi-Wan never lied.
He never did. Cause like he is, man, and he just got corrupt.
I mean, he did get corrupted for the very great reason of, wow, my entire life I've been told that these evil people who started a whole civil war and, have dedicated millennia to destroy this intergalactic republic that has managed to unite multiple civilizations across many planets. And you know what? This dude who started again a gigantic civil war and is trying to destroy democracy, he's the one who's going to help me save my wife's life.
That's it.
That's it. It's sold.
Love.
That's what this. I'm buying what you're selling, man.
Listen.
All right, Space Hitler. Yes. These are some secrets Jedi's will teach you.
They're not. They weren't teaching it to him.
Yeah, they wouldn't teach you how to kill your wife with a broken heart. Like, I mean, that is definitely something Jedi don't teach. Like,
no, but I agree with Patrick though. It really does help keep in mind. Even as much of a stand for Anakin I am, it lets you know, because again, he even gets to the point in the fight where Obi, I think they cut it. I think that was a perfect cut because it's the point where he's like, "You've been beat. You don't have a weapon," and he goes. Then they cut it to even Obi's like, "I have to give myself up," and I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it felt like a prequel scene. Like literally, I feel like if you actually had 19-year-old Hayden Christensen in there, like that scene could have easily been an Attack of the Clones, right?
Easily, yes.
Like that was like really, really well done. And had the same kind of emotional beats that Obi-Wan and Anakin had in that film.
Right.
That again, it just rang so true. Like we had talked about, I guess this again last episode, where like this series weirdly has not like tried to mine the prequel nostalgia. Right. Again, we're at the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, and that sequence felt like the first time in the series that they really were like, oh, we're gonna crank the prequel like nostalgia to the max.
Right. I think one more thing before we go. We've said so. I mean, I think now the way the show ends, the way this episode ends, you're sitting here saying to yourself, "How do you?" I think we're getting the second season. I think just like we're gonna get the Moon Knight. What's the Moon Knight?
Limited series becomes a second season.
Yeah, I think we're getting a second season. Because how do you wrap this up in a nice, neat bow? Right? This, as you said, she's going to Tatooine. Does Vader stuff again? Is they're right behind us?
I don't know.
Unless you stop somewhere, right? And okay, so you stop somewhere, Vader and Obi-Wan clash, or Grand Inquisitor and Obi-Wan clash, right? Because Vader's not going to do it. Third sister goes to Tatooine. Now she kidnaps.
But how does she know it's Luke? Right? There's lots of white boys just living in like and like there's like a lot of logic jumps to get to third sister being able to specifically identify Luke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I thought Ewan said that he was willing to do another season if the story was right,
It
or
was right.
maybe right now he has like like a half of a Harrison Ford amount of money pulled up to his house with Mary Winstead, and he's like,
Right.
I want the full Harrison Ford truck for another
Right.
season,
For
Disney.
another season, right?
And maybe Disney will be like, maybe for a movie.
And then we get an
But
Obi-Wan movie in
yeah,
between this to
yeah. I
close everything
mean,
up.
but I mean, again, he's divorced and has a young kid, so he needs money. So
But yeah, so that's the thing. How do you? I think we're getting a second season. So because how do you spin this off? Okay, with third sister being some character that turns good and now is some sort of no, I wouldn't say bounty hunter. Like what does she do? Because
helps
I
Jedi.
like this character, right?
Yeah,
I
I
like
think
this
she's a good
character.
character.
What do you do with her moving forward?
I mean, there's a bunch of options. She could
Right.
be like going around saving force sensitive kids. She could. There's a lot. Like, I mean, one of the things I'm not sure because I'm not a Rebels person. Does like Rebels deal like with the fact that in the Luke era there's one Jedi besides him and well Yoda, but like one active running around in the universe Jedi. There's like no one who explains to Luke like what the Jedi Order was, even though in all
No.
of these bridge things between the prequels and the original trilogy, there's all these disparate survivors that you think Luke would spend time like
In
talking
in
to
in
and trying to
Rebels,
find, but he doesn't.
in Patrick, help me out. In Rebels, the episode we meet Obi-Wan, right? Where Obi-Wan is older, Luke is a kid. Luke is still a kid. We don't have this conversation with Luke.
Well, but like Luke, but they like Luke, the adult Luke that shows up in Mandalorian, and then the
Right.
one that's in Last Jedi. Like
Right.
he doesn't go and find any of these like survivors of the Republic, right? That these video games, Rebels itself, and now Obi-Wan is setting up that there's all these disparate like Jedi aid organizations, right, that exist. And the only one that we ever see him interacting with or gets mentioning is Osaka, or how do you say her name? I can never do it. I can never say her name. But like that's the only one, Ahsoka, right? And that's the only one. And you would think that Luke would seek these people out, or these people would seek Luke out once he becomes famous, right? I mean, she is, but she isn't because Luke, pardon my French, fucks it all up again.
Right.
Right? Like, there's no one of the things that I actually, as they add more and more of this, like the Jedi weren't wiped out stuff, the more I get, like, I get frustrated with what they do with Luke later. Like why? And maybe this is a story they will tell, and maybe it is useful.
Maybe
maybe
it's a story they will tell, and that's where we could get a spin-off of this show. We could start to have little threads connecting us, meeting Luke at some point, because we do have to get to Last Jedi Luke, right? At some point, with all these stories that they're telling, we will have to get to Last Jedi Luke. He said Ahsoka isn't a Jedi.
She's enough of one, though. She's like, if you squint hard enough, she's one. Right? She's got the lightsaber.
Just like the guy, like the guy from episode 1. He's not a Jedi, but
I mean, like Jedi that we know that have survived past the prequels.
Oh, so right? Past Order 66.
Order 66. Obi-Wan.
Caleb is a Jedi.
Yeah, but Caleb is the
Rebels.
The one from the video game. Oh, from Rebels. Right. Yeah. There's the two Rebels dudes.
Yeah.
Right. There's Patrick's best friend there in the chat. All right. Then there's the video game main character.
Yes.
There's Quinlan Voss, who's been mentioned repeatedly in this. I feel like there's another one that we know that survives, right? And we know at the very least Ezra survives past the Empire, right? Because he's off with space turtles.
He's off with the space whales, yeah.
Yeah, right, whatever. Right, and again, Patrick's best friend is there. And like Quinlan Voss, where's he? I'm sure the video games will deal with what happens to the video game protagonist.
Yeah. So
But
I think every with
is Starkiller alive? The one from the old video games that are still technically continuity?
wait,
I don't know.
I was gonna ask you, that's continuity?
I'm pretty sure it is. Did they get rid of it? Because it's post Disney buying it, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Hold on, what are
Patrick.
those clips from?
As Rebels, no, Rebels doesn't end with her looking. Rebels ends with her saying she's going to look, and then you find her in Mandalorian saying, "I'm looking," which is kind of trash because
Like
Mandalorians
10
were,
years later.
yeah, it's kind of because yeah, Rebels ended all cute and everyone was all happy, and then and then she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go find him now," and then in Mandalorian she's looking. So I think her show will deal with that. But yeah, it backs the question is if Luke is that force sensitive to where he finds Grogu or he senses, you know what it
Well,
is.
Grogu is the other big one that I haven't even.
You know what it is. You know what it is. No other Jedi sat on the stone to commune with Luke.
That could
Because
be it.
that's how it happened. That's exactly how. Because that's why he finds Grogu, right? That's why he goes to seek out Grogu, because he sensed him when he sat on that stone. So boom, no other Jedi did that, or that I
That's
know of, because Ezra
that
didn't
we
do
know of.
anything of the sorts.
Well, Ezra is still like at that point in Star Wars continuity, he's still off with space whales, right? Because he's still unknown.
Because this is
Like,
all no before that. That's episode 4, right? Ezra is between 3 and 4.
right, Ezra, but he is
But then
out of
after his
commission
thing,
through the
yeah,
whole original trilogy,
right,
right?
correct.
Because her show, they've said, right, the setup is she's looking for him. Right?
Yeah, it's post
Post Mandalorian season
post
2.
Mandalorian. So her show, so in main continuity, whether the show fall episode 7.
It's between 7 and 9. That's where Mandalorian continuity
Okay,
is.
all right then.
Right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
5 years after, 10 years at maybe 5
Oof.
years, right? It's like the Empire's beat, but the New Republic isn't like
isn't
into it,
super formed yet. They're
isn't super
becoming a thing.
formed,
Yeah,
and there's no first order yet, right? That's
right,
another big thing.
right.
Whatever.
So I guess with what's happening what happened in Mandalorian, right? Luke finding Grogu. I think we're gonna start there with Luke. Didn't you say we need a show with Luke at some point? Didn't you say
We
that?
do, but I think we need one with him like that. Mark Hamill can play him without a CGI face.
Yeah,
Like they need
okay.
like Luke, like 5 years before Ben shows up, or maybe when Ben first shows up.
Right.
As a kid, like Luke, like where actual old man Mark Hamill can play him, not like we have Mark Hamill there, and then we get another actor that we CG over Mark Hamill, and we have Mark Hamill's voice through a robot.
Right.
Like, none of that.
But you know what? That's a great question. Now I have something to think about, because with the ending of the show, so where do we tie all this in? How do we tie this in? How do we move past this? I think, you know what? If they manage to land the ship, right? I think Obi-Wan opens up the world of what to do post Order 66 with all the
Maybe.
Jedi.
I mean, I really just don't know. Like we talked about this maybe in the 3rd episode.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know where you take Obi-Wan's story from here.
I think you
right,
leave
like,
it alone.
Well, but I guess you do. So maybe you pass the torch to the third sister as like a protagonist or whatever. But like they spilled all of the interesting story for that Obi-Wan has, right? Like you can only do Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine to go do something like so many times. And in this one, they not only made him interact with Leia and made him interact with Vader and the Inquisitors. Like,
right.
So it's like all of the things you could want him to do. Plus, they've already got an episode of Rebels that he fights Darth Maul. It's like, what else do you want? Like, as Patrick says in chat, like, what else do you want Obi-Wan Kenobi to do? Right? Like, nothing. Like, I honestly, like,
at this point, that's why I said you leave the character alone, because if you go try to do the live action version of him and Maul, I think for people that did watch Rebels, it's kind of like annoying. Well, for me, I'm like, I don't want to see that again. I've seen it, but I guess doing it in live action wouldn't hurt. You know?
Did he have
Yeah.
actual legs, or does he just have the spider legs still?
No, he had the legs.
The spider legs? Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because at the end of what's the movie that came after the movie that came after Rogue One, the Star Wars story. Solo.
He has the
He
spider
has,
legs.
yeah, he
Yeah.
does with that cutscene, which
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed that we haven't done more with that. And
Because it was very poorly received, from what I
Disney ruined
understand.
somebody's character, or Kathleen Kennedy ruined the character, his acting his acting career, and then said it's probably the fault of the fact that we can't do a legacy character with just get out of here, man. That was kind of stupid. That was lame. But no, I guess we stop here and just hope, fingers crossed for episode 6, right? That it lands, because
I truly don't know how it does, though. Like I was actually utterly perplexed when I got to the end of the episode. I was like, wait, one, I enjoyed that. Two, why where do we
I
go
wish we're
from
getting
here?
2 more episodes.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like, it's like this is not episode 2, which is a huge problem actually for the Disney Plus shows in general.
Right.
Which has been like, wait, isn't this episode 3? And it's like, no,
it's
no,
episode
my friend, no, my sweet innocent child.
We have
It's
one
episode
more
5
episode.
of 6.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. I think, but that's why I think this show might actually be the one to like make it work, because you end the show somehow and you say, Reva will be back. Reva will be, third sister will be back at some point. The same way you say Doctor Strange will be back at the end of the movie, right? James Bond will be back. I think that's what you do here. You kind of tease us with something, so that way we're not like, we're waiting on what next. I think
they also have the option, right, of seeing which lands better, Obi-Wan or Andor. And,
right.
And use Andor as a jumping off point, right? Although Andor apparently is getting 2 seasons and ends like literally with the scene he shows up. Apparently, like that's the terminal ending of Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Is what they said in the second season. It's going to be like how he got to that moment where he kills that dude at the beginning of Rogue One. Like that's what they've said is the mission statement of the show, which is cool, right? Like,
right.
He's a very different character from like a lot of other Star Wars characters. So,
yeah.
But it could be like if Andor gets well received, well, maybe we'll get like another like Rogue One character's backstory, right? For this prequel era stuff. Is it prequel? I don't know, like what the
prequel or pre
original pre OG era. But I do think that they've kind of like, I mean, they've really wasted a lot of the Obi-Wan storytelling.
Yes, they did. But okay, the question is, how would you have done this show? I think that's the last thing we can discuss. How would you have done this show before, with knowing what stories you have? How would you have done the show?
I mean, it's something I think we talked about in the previous episode. I would have started with a smaller Obi-Wan story that then ends on a note that pushes Obi-Wan to leave, right? Which could be Leia. Like, I actually think the hook of him having to go rescue Leia is a fun twist, right? Of like, you would expect it to be something that
it's super important. The promise he made, yeah.
But to go to Patrick's comment about seeing Finn, you can watch, which episode was it? Was it the last week where we did an extended discussion of like sequel trilogy? Like, when is Disney going to go to the sequel?
Yeah, which not anytime soon, because you have to wait till the hate for that dies.
You got to wait for the Zoomers to be the center of gravity in the Star Wars, which is not there. Millennials are there, so
they're pretty annoyed. And so you have to wait.
Just like you had to wait for the Gen Xers to be quiet and not be the center of the fandom to make the prequels beloved. So you just got to wait. Let those Zoomers who grew up with Finn and Rey and, oh my God, what is Oscar Isaac's character's name?
Poe.
There we go. Yeah. I got there. Yeah, thank you.
Right.
So, but
all right. So I think that's where we end the show for the week. And hopefully episode 6 lands it. I have a sneaky feeling, right? Because again, I was really surprised by this. I have a sneaky feeling that they do land episode 6. somewhere.
Mo, that's a really good note to end this episode on, because last week you said my hope that they would land it got you to want to watch the next episode, and
Yes.
your belief that this is going to land
Look
is
at the
made me
transference.
with transfer. I transferred my hiccups to you. You transferred your optimism to me. I think that's an excellent cast right there.
All right. So thank you for watching. And for those of you that are listening, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We will catch you next week for the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thank you again. Peace.